Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? We're back for a Wednesday evening Nights with Ping. It's good to see you. Yes, thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate it from Rachel, Maria, and Angela. I do appreciate it. DJ says he hopes at my age I can finish the show. Yeah, I'm gonna need a nap halfway through. That's exactly what's gonna happen. Um, we have an interesting set of different true crime stories tonight, including the title one, which is very odd. It's one of these weird missing people cases, but they don't give you very many details, and I'm going to show you. So let me get set up. Hey guys, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you, Moonlight View. I appreciate it, and I hate mornings. It's very kind of you. This story was on Twitter earlier today, and it says a 16-year-old girl missing after texting about being kidnapped in Brooklyn. But the odd thing is, they don't give a name. There's no name associated with these images, and there's no other details. It almost, I don't know. It's almost like do they wonder if she really was kidnapped, and is this a child that just wanted to get away for a while? I don't know. It's odd that they wouldn't give any other details about, like, what's her name? Who do you report it? You go, "Hi, I'd like to report about a missing girl." Well, what missing girl? The one on the news. Like, there's no details. Anyway, they said here authorities are looking for a 16-year-old girl who texted a family member that she had been kidnapped after she was seen entering a Brooklyn train station Tuesday afternoon. They're saying she was last seen entering the Pitkin Avenue A and C line subway station in East New York just before 3 p.m. Police say about 10 minutes later she texted a family member that two strange men had taken her. She apparently hasn't been heard from since. Her name has not been released. Okay. So there's the photos from the subway system, but there's no images of the men. There's no. Was anybody following her? Do they have anything like that? Not, not really. It's a bit odd. I hear Morning says, "You're making me feel old today. My daughter is a few months older than you." Thank you, Nanalana. Yes, I'm 40. I turned 40 today. Yep. I don't know if I see it as a good thing, but yeah, I did. I'm out of my 30s. Oh no. It's all right. So I don't have any more real information other than this. This is all the police have given. That she texted a family member to say that two men had taken her. Taken her from where? The train? Did they abduct the entire train? Is this like a movie where someone takes over the train and it can't go below 90 miles an hour or the train will blow up? I don't, it's very strange. And it's weird that there's no silver alert, there's no amber alert, there's just this sort of grainy image, and the NYPD didn't give us a name. They don't really tell us anything else. I don't know. I find it a bit concerning. Thank you, Marilyn. I appreciate it. Yeah. So even if I search this, so like say 16-year-old girl missing after texting about being kidnapped. All right. So let me search this, and I'll tell you. There's like two stories for it. That's it. Hold on. I'm gonna go somewhere. I want to check. So people in the Reddit are saying the same thing. That why wouldn't they release her name? And other people are saying, did she just run away? And I was like, I wonder if that is true. I'm just trying to see what they're saying in here. They're saying Family members of the girl said they received a text message from her on August 13th around 3 p.m. that she had been kidnapped. She is described as having a light complexion, black hair, brown eyes, standing at 5 feet 2 inches tall, wearing a black hoodie, blue jeans, white sneakers, and a grey purse. Yeah, no one else seems to have any other information either in the New York City subreddit. They don't seem to really know anything either. Yeah, no information as of up to an hour ago. But here, I'll show you.
This morning, police in Brooklyn are looking for a teenage girl who texted a family member that she had been kidnapped by two men. This happened around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. The 16-year-old was last seen entering the Pitkin Avenue, Van Sicklen Avenue A and C subway station in East New York. The girl is 5 feet 2 inches tall and 120 pounds with a light complexion, black hair, and brown eyes. If you have any information about where this teen is, please call NYPD.
And from the teenage migrant robbery suspects in Central Park to a...
That's it. That's all they're giving us. Nothing else. Moonshadow said she's not wearing the clothes cited in the video. No? Let's have a look. She isn't? Hold on. Let's reboot this. All right.
Breaking the
So, what did they cite? They cited that she had been wearing a black hoodie. I see a black hoodie. Blue jeans. I see blue jeans. White sneakers. Does she have white sneakers? And she has white sneakers on. So, yeah, it does match. She's got the grey purse as well. So, yeah, it all matches. It does. What she's doing and where she went, I have no idea. Yeah, it's very odd. Normally they would release like a name or something, or I don't know, just more details. It's very hard to look for someone when you don't know who you're looking for. I mean, you're just looking for a young 16-year-old girl with a very average, description. What's the description again? She has a light complexion with black hair, brown eyes, standing at 5 feet 2 inches tall. So she's the average size of a female, and she's got a description of just about every female in New York at 16 years old, which is light complexion, black hair, brown eyes, and standing at 5 feet 2 inches tall. It makes it difficult. It's almost like you would have to have either been in the same train or nearby to even be able to help. Like, you'd have to have been there on that day, on that line, to have any idea of how to call it in and say anything. It doesn't look like a hoodie? Hold on. Let's see. There is a hood on it. If you look in this front photo on her shoulders, there is a hood. This might be like a puffer jackety type thing, maybe. There is something here. I don't know exactly what it is, but I don't know if that might be some sort of hood. Unless she took it off? No? I don't know. But either way, there is an apparent, we're just going to have to take her word for it for now, an apparent kidnapping of a girl, 16 years old, on the New York subway by two men. No description of the men, just that they apparently kidnapped her from a subway station. So, I don't know. That's all I can give you. I can't give you anything else except if you live in New York City, keep an eye out for her and just call it in if you were there that day. If you're on that line that day and you saw her and two men, or even if you just saw her, call it in and tell them. I saw this while we were waiting for it. In Washington Heights, Manhattan, an active police investigation is underway after a burned body was discovered inside a park in Washington Heights on Wednesday. News Copter 7 was over Highbridge Park, where police and FDNY personnel responded to reports of a brush fire just after 4:30 p.m. Once the fire was extinguished, police say they discovered the body of an adult woman that was burned. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. The medical examiner will determine the cause of death. Okay, let's see if they got that footage.
In Upper Manhattan, Washington Heights, a large police presence right now at a park there where a body has been found, we're told. Shannon Sohn over the scene in Newscopter 7. What do you have, Shannon?
Yeah, we'll use Street Spotter 7 here to help tell you the story. You were looking down at Highbridge Park, and you mentioned this large police presence. It is at the intersection of Edgecombe Avenue and Jamel Place, just a couple hundred feet into the park. Police discovered the body of a burned up person. This all happening shortly before 5 o'clock this afternoon. So as you can imagine, this is a developing story, but as we bring you into these trees off of a path inside Highbridge Park, you'll see that police tape set up as well as officers as this investigation continues. Again, the burned up body discovered less than an hour ago right here in Washington Heights. Reporting live over Washington Heights, Shannon Sohn, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Police discovered it, and we wonder whether some pedestrian found it as well beforehand. Keep us posted, Shannon. Thank you for that.
And from the teenage migrant robbery suspects in Central Park to
Okay, that is very odd. A woman found burned in that park, and you can see in that video the cops there all huddled around. Very, very odd as well. Michelle says she's been located. Everything I have up to an hour ago says she's missing. Weird. Yeah, everything I have, even up to 10:10 Win News, has as she's missing. Hold on. Because of course I checked before I came in here. Let's go to NBC New York. Maybe they have more. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see anything here. You would have thought that the news out of Brooklyn would have been giving an update. Let me check this one. What? Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know where you saw that, but it doesn't show it for me. Hey, thanks, DJ. Oh, she's found it now at home. Weird. I had a thing up to an hour ago, unless the times are off because I'm in Australia, but it said that there was an article that literally came out in the last hour. Pix 11. All right, that's a real local station. Hold on, I want to do this other one here. Where is her? By the way, famous Amos, the founder, died today at 88 after complications with dementia. I read today. Where is it? Here, forcibly. No, that's forcibly touched in a subway. No, that's a different story. Hold on here. Multiple subway lines delayed. I don't know. You guys must be seeing something that I can't, because I'm on Pix 11 now, and it's not showing me anything about that girl. I'll take your word for it. It's just not showing me the story. Let me go to more top stories and see. I might just have to search what thing I wrote, a DJ wrote. Brownsville, Brooklyn. Okay. Okay. NY, they posted on Facebook, but that's it. No, that was a completely different story. Alright, I give up. I don't know. I can't find it on my end. Even if when I search Pix 11, there's nothing on there. WPix, okay. Yeah, even when I'm on there, look. This is the website I was just on. There is no story about her unless I am blind. Woman forcibly touched in a Brooklyn subway. That's not the same story, I don't believe. NYPD deploys extra resources to tackle Harlem theft. That's not the same one. And then we go through here. Woman forcibly touched, severely burnt body. That's the story we just did. And there's just nothing on any of their pages about it. Here's their trending stories here. Multiple subway lines delayed. Off-duty officer arrested. Yeah. Nothing. So. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but like I see news stories literally from an hour ago from news stations posting about it. And when I put Brooklyn missing into Twitter, I don't think I see a single person, not a single story pops up saying now located or something like that. They're all saying that she's still missing. Yeah. All right. Well, look, if we figure it out and we find her, I will let you know. Yeah, I think that's a different story. Kiana Davis. Yeah, I think that was from a while ago. All right. I do want to see what's going on with this this other one in New York though. This burnt body and why would she be on fire inside a park? Burnt body in Washington Heights. Okay. We'll go to Pix 11 now. It says severely burnt body found in Washington Heights, NYPD. The body was located around 4:37 p.m. in the afternoon. Police said they were responding to reports of the brush fire. Yep. At this time, it is difficult to determine if there is any trauma due to the burn, sources said. Investigations are ongoing. So they're saying due to the state of the remains of the poor lady, they can't really tell how she died. They'll have to go to a medical examiner to determine her cause of death, whether it was from the fire or something else or, some other reason. Hey, Penguin, how are you? Good to see you. All right. Since we got lost for about 10 minutes, let's go to. There was a story we were supposed to do yesterday, and for some reason, I don't know why we didn't end up doing it, because we should have. But there was a cold case, and they did a press conference, great press conference, really good. And I'm going to show that to you if I can find it here. So this is Sheriff Luna, and they're announcing a major breakthrough in a decades-old cold case, revealing that a convicted serial killer linked to the 1986 murder of a 19-year-old woman called Kathy Small. The background is, I watched this last night. The background is so horrible. Not like in some of the ways we hear, but like the way her life went in the last day or so. And it seemed like she was just very trusting, and she hopped into the car of just like the wrong guy, and he did what he did and killed her, unfortunately. But it took them so long to figure it out, and they ended up tracing it back to a guy that had been killing women in the area for years. So I'm not gonna play all of it because it's 35 minutes. We're not gonna do that, but I will play the first little bit of it, and I'll play the sort of the statement they read.
There's a celebrate.
All right, here we go. Hopefully that'll start playing.
But one of the keys.
Come on.
Good morning. I was waiting for the rest of the team to come in and around me, and you'll find in this story when our homicide lieutenant gets into detail about what happened. It's fascinating, but one of the keys here is teamwork. and collaboration. So we're going to celebrate that as we talk about this victim. So I really do appreciate all of you taking the time to be here today. And hopefully you'll see that for us, we believe we're bringing a sense of long overdue justice and closure to the victim and her family. This case does underscore three primary things for me as I looked at this. The power of modern forensic science. 2, the amazing, relentless work by our dedicated Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau detectives, which I keep on saying are the best in the country at what they do. And then the collaboration and partnership between agencies. And I'll list them all here in a second. And it's pretty amazing. This case, which started with what seemed like a routine investigation, ultimately connected the murder of a young woman to her killer. I do want to thank the South Pasadena Police Department, and their chief and representatives are here with us today for entrusting us with this case as we do handle the homicide cases or murder cases in their city back in 1986. I also want to thank our Homicide Bureau detectives, our criminalist from our crime lab, and the medical examiner's office who brought this to our detectives' attention. And you'll again hear this as we roll out the facts of this case. Together, the hard work and dedication of our justice partners brought what I believe justice to this case and this family, the family of Kathy Small, who's the victim that we're talking about. And amongst everything else we're talking about today, you always got to remember when we're talking about something as significant as this, we're talking about a victim who lost her life and the family who will never forget that. And I know we never forget that. And that's what makes the teamwork here so amazing. So with that, I would like to bring up Homicide Lieutenant Patty Thomas, who is going to provide the details of the investigation. And then we'll have a series of different speakers. And then obviously we will all be available, including myself, for any questions regarding this case. So with that, Lieutenant Thomas, please come on up.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, everybody who's here today. I'm going to go back to 1986. On February 22nd, at about 7 o'clock in the morning, South Pasadena Police Department received a call for service of a woman lying in the street in the 800 block of Bank Street. When officers arrived, they located the woman lying unresponsive in the middle of the street. She was wearing a nightgown and appeared to have suffered several stab wounds throughout her body. She was pronounced dead at the scene. She had no identification and was listed as Jane Doe number 17. Detectives from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau were notified, responded, and began their investigation. Homicide detectives worked throughout the night and day to process the scene, collect evidence, and canvass the area for potential witnesses. On February 23, 1986, an autopsy was conducted on the woman's remains. The medical examiner indicated she died from multiple stab wounds and strangulation. On February 25, 1986, detectives received a call from a resident in the Lake Elsinore area. He reached out to detectives after reading a story in the newspaper about a female killed in South Pasadena and was concerned the victim could have been his roommate. Later that day, at the Los Angeles County Department of Medical Examiner's office, he identified the victim as Kathy Small.
Now, listen to that. They got a phone call from someone believing the body they had located in a different area could be his roommate, and he had to actually go down there and ID her. Imagine being in that situation of having to go ID your roommate in a morgue. I mean, that can't be the easiest thing, and that must be a very horrible experience. One of the other details that'll come up later is you may have heard that they found her in a nightgown. That is not quite what you think. It's not like she was stripped into her nightgown and then, left like that. she literally wore it and left the house, and you'll find out why a bit later.
Woman. He told detectives she was a prostitute in the Lake Elsinore area and lived at his house for a few months. Her pictures are displayed to my left on the board. On February 21st, 1986, the night before Kathy Smalls was found, she left their house approximately 10 p.m. wearing a nightgown. She told him that a man named Bill was picking her up and giving her $50 to drive with him to Los Angeles. He never saw or heard from her again. Throughout the years, numerous leads were followed up by detectives, but the case remained unsolved. In 2019, October 11th, Detective Aguilera was contacted by coroner investigator Brenda Schaefer. Aguilera and Schaefer are both present today. She was on a scene in the 800 block of Bank Street in South Pasadena of a natural death. A 63-year-old man was found dead on his living room couch. He lived alone and had no children. The coroner investigator observed several disturbing items in the house. Numerous photos of women who appeared to have been assaulted and held against their will, possibly by the decedent. There was also a newspaper article located in his bedroom stating slain victim named. The article went on to say that a woman found stabbed to death in South Pasadena was identified as Kathy Small from Lake Elsinore. Homicide detectives Louis Aguilera and Maria Maciel obtained the 1986 case file in which Kathy Small was listed as the victim. They discovered the case remained unsolved and the location of the murder was directly across the street from the decedent. On October 17, 2019, detectives obtained a search warrant for the decedent's residence, believing the search of the residence would yield evidence related to the murder of Kathy Small. Numerous items of evidence were recovered from the residence, and DNA tests were conducted on several of the items by criminalists from our crime lab. However, investigators learned the decedent's DNA did not match the DNA found on victim Small, and he was not linked to any crimes. Homicide detectives recovered all evidence held from the 1986 murder and transported it to the Sheriff's Crime Lab for DNA analysis.
They must have thought at the time, after they found that male dead in his home, and then found all the creepy photos of women who looked like they had been held against their will. But not only that, newspaper clippings, they must have been like, oh my God, all my true crime police, drama, TV show, movie dreams are coming true. We found the serial killer, and it ended up being not him. Ended up being nothing related to it at all. Very odd, very strange. I'd like to know more about the background of that guy, but unfortunately, they don't really go into it.
They discovered that none of the items of evidence, including the sexual assault kit and victim's clothing, were ever tested for DNA. On August 19, 2020, detectives were notified by criminalist Leslie Thompson that the test conducted on the sexual assault kit and DNA taken from the victim's clothing revealed the presence of two male donors. One of the donors was identified as William Lester Seth, at this time a white 70-year-old man, and the other an unknown male. Bill Seth was a convicted serial killer, also known as the Riverside Prostitute Killer or the Lake Elsinore Killer.
Yes, he was a convicted serial killer. All right, let's get back to it.
In 1992, he was arrested during a routine traffic stop and charged with the murders. On July 19, 1995, he was found guilty and sentenced to death for 12 homicides, which occurred in the Riverside County from 1989 to 1991. His picture, then and now, is located on display to my left. Seth was also convicted in 1974 for the murder of his 2-month-old daughter, which occurred in Tarrant County, Texas. He was sentenced to 70 years for the murder, but was paroled to California in 1984. On May 11, 2022, homicide investigators transported suspect Seth from San Quentin Prison to Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Men's Central Jail. Detectives interviewed him for 2 days, over 7 hours. He confessed and discussed in detail the murder of Kathy Small. He also discussed and admitted to some of the previous murders in Riverside County. In summary, he stated, in 1986, he was living in the Riverside County and working in Lake Elsinore at a computer repair shop. On the day of the murder, Kathy Small went into the repair shop. She gave him her phone number to the house she was living in, and he called her later that day and asked her to go with him to go pick his boss up in Pasadena. He picked her up approximately 10 p.m., and they drove to Pasadena. When they arrived at the end of the cul-de-sac on Bank Street, they got into an argument. He became enraged because she knocked his glasses off his face. He retrieved a knife he kept in the vehicle and stabbed her multiple times in the chest as she sat in the front passenger seat. He pushed her out of the car and onto the street and drove away. Investigators showed Seth some crime scene photos taken the day she was found, and he indicated that the way she was found was the way he left her. This case was presented to the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, Major Crimes Division, for declination purposes only.
Yeah, so there you go. You heard the entire story. I think the fact that even when the police came and talked to him, he admitted to everything basically, told them the story of what happened, and what? Sorry, someone left a very racist comment on our video from yesterday. Very rude. Yeah, so pretty brutal story. Yeah, I'm not sure either. I wonder if it was they don't really talk about it, because if he just stabbed her to death, then how come his DNA was in the SA kit? And where did the transfer of money come from? Was this supposed to be like a full service type of arrangement? She was a prostitute. Was that what was going on? They don't really mention it in the entire press conference, and they don't delve into any details about that. So was this actually sort of just a come with me to go get my boss, or was this supposed to be like a paid date type of thing? I don't really get it, and they don't really explain it either. So I'm guessing maybe, or it could have happened before he killed her. I don't know. I'm not sure. It doesn't really tell you. But interesting update. The fact that he had been involved in so many women's deaths, I think, is significant. And I guess just happy they were able to finally track it down after all these years. Very very interesting press conference. Here you can see here they said the killing of the 19-year-old woman and mother of 2. So she had 2 kids too. Whose body was found dumped on a Southern California road in 1986, was linked to a convicted Riverside County serial killer. The body of Kathy Ann Small was discovered February 22nd, 1986, on a road in South Pasadena, wearing only a nightgown. She had been stabbed and strangled in a cold case murder that remained unsolved until a break in the investigation in October 2019 that led authorities to William Lester Suff, who was convicted in 1995 of killing 12 women in Riverside County. So he had a huge conviction, and you know backtrack record of killing women. They said here, for us, we believe we're bringing a sense of long overdue justice and closure to the victim and her family. Amongst everything else we're talking about today, you've also got to remember when we're talking about something as significant as this, we're talking about a victim who lost her life and the family who will never forget that. According to the press conference, a family member was supposed to be there but was unable to make the press conference, and she sent in a letter to be read at the end. And that was read out, basically saying that she's just somewhat happy for the closure, but still very sad that her sister will never be coming home. And, the graphic way her sister was killed, too. JS, that is very kind of you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Happy 40th birthday, Ping. Thank you. It's very kind of you. I appreciate it. Danny says, did anyone else see the interview on YouTube with Wade Wilson's bio dad? Can't say I have, buddy. I can't say I have. It is a brutal murder, right? It's interesting that some of those details weren't explained, though. Like, why did she go with him at night to pick up the boss in a different place? And I guess they're only getting one side of the details from the killer because they can't ask her. She's not here anymore. And I wonder if that's where some of the gaps in information are coming from, because maybe he's not going to admit to certain details about the day that it happened. I don't know, but a bit odd. Rachel says, glad for some closure for the family. I know, considering it had been so long and they just didn't really have any idea what happened to her. I mean, she was discovered 1986. He was convicted in 1995. So almost 20 years after her body was discovered. And then he was convicted in 1995 of killing 12 other women in Riverside County. So he was not a good guy at all. Let me see if I can find anything else about him. Here's his Wikipedia. This is him here. There's a photo of him. He's aged 73. And who else did he? Unfortunately, Rhonda Jetmore was one of his victims. She was a prostitute who entered into a sexual transaction with him. That's what I wonder about this one too. Did she also enter into a transaction with him? Kimberly Little. She was found manually strangled to death on the side of the similar area, Lake Elsinore. Her autopsy revealed she'd been hit in the head and had cigarette burns on her arms and other areas of her body, all injuries occurring prior to her death. Horrible. Christina Leal. She was 1989, found strangled and stabbed to death. She was last seen the night before. Her autopsy revealed marks around her wrists and ankles, indicating she had been bound. Interesting. She had knife wounds to her genitalia, and one of her nipples was partially removed, all ante-mortem. So, is that before death? That's pretty brutal. Wait, ante-mortem? Is that before? Occurring, yeah, before death, right. So that all occurred before death. Holy crap. That's a very brutal way to get killed. They said here also a light bulb had been inserted into her uterus and was recovered intact. That is a really horrible murder. I mean, all murders are horrible, but that one's specifically over the top. Another lady called Carol Lynn Miller. She was found nude with the exception of a shirt pulled up over her head in a grapefruit orchard in Highgrove. They said she was stabbed 5 times. So he changed his method of attack a few different times, but he seems to stick with manual strangulation or stabbing. So he used a knife or he strangled them. Same with Cheryl Coker. She was found strangled to death, possibly with a wire. And he severed her right breast post-mortem and was found on a dirt road 30 feet away. So he did some odd things to these women as well. Like some of the other serial killers of women who kill a lot of women, they seem to do this to some of them too. Kathleen Leslie Milne, January 19th, 1991. This must be very close to when he was caught. Oh, geez. Even just in 1991, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just in 1 year, he killed 6 women. Just in 1 year. That is crazy. Catherine McDonald, 1991, was the only black victim attributed to him. Was found near Lake Elsinore. Her body was also posed. Her legs were spread apart, but her feet were together. Her arms outstretched to the top of her head. She was 4 months pregnant at the time before she died. She was stabbed in the chest 3 times. Far out. He was a brutal killer, and the fact that we can now add another victim to his list. It might be his first one. Let's have a look. Is it? 1989. That's January 10. What is this lady's one? February 22nd, 1986. She might be his first known victim, because the Wikipedia says his first victim here is Rhonda Jetmore, January 10, 1989. But the one we just heard about, Kathy Small, was February 22nd, 1986, 3 years before the one that's listed on the Wikipedia. So this may be the earliest victim that they know of now, of that particular serial killer. Maybe one of his earliest crimes. Although I would guess he's been victimizing women long before he started actually killing them. He's probably got a string of women that he hurt long before he killed his first woman. But what a brutal killer. What a brutal killer. Glad they were able to associate it with him. Attempted kidnapping near Dallas. I did not. Hold on. It says here that was yesterday. Richardson police investigate separate child abduction captured on camera. Let me see if it'll pop up.
The search is on tonight for possible kidnappers in Dallas and Richardson after children reported strange men following or approaching them. The attempted abductions happened yesterday within hours and miles of each other. Right now, police do not believe the cases are related. Maria Guerrero has the video of the frightening incidents.
Oh my God! 2 terrifying encounters with strangers. Bro, he just tried to abduct us!
And all of a sudden the door flies open and I hear the boys yelling, "Jay's being kidnapped, Jay's being kidnapped."
A group of boys in far north Dallas.
Yeah, she was definitely traumatized.
A terrified teen in Richardson finding cover in Shane Burke's driveway.
She initially went and hid behind our car to see if he was going to come back, and sure enough, here he came, really slow. And again,
Burke's home surveillance cameras capturing a man in this black Toyota Corolla S repeatedly driving up and down Melrose Drive, staring in silence as the girl walks toward J.J. Pierce High School Monday morning.
I don't know what this guy's motive was, or what he was up to, but she said she didn't know him. It wasn't like an ex-boyfriend or a family member or anything. And so whatever it was, it doesn't seem good.
Several hours later, and just 2.5 miles away on Old Pond Drive near Hillcrest Road in Dallas.
Like, they were lucky. and they need to be careful.
Jenna Skolnick's sons had friends over for a play date when 2 vehicles pulled up, including this white Toyota 4Runner.
They were calling to my son saying, hey, we have a football player in our car. Like, you should come talk to him. And my son said, I don't talk to strangers. And they reversed the car and Jonathan just started running.
A brazen passenger in a white t-shirt and shorts then runs after one of the boys before turning back, giving mom time to capture their license plate.
It just like wanted to take the picture and like chase him back. But I wanted to get the boys inside first.
Parents and eagle-eyed neighbors urging vigilance, putting child predators on notice.
Kids are precious to us, all of these kids in this community, and the whole community's gonna engage. And we're gonna find out who you are and what you're up to, and we just won't tolerate it. That's the bottom line.
Maria Guerrero, NBC5.
Here is more information on the suspect cars police are looking for in Richardson. It's a Toyota Corolla, likely between a 2014 and 2016 model. In the North Dallas case, it's a white Toyota 4Runner with Texas plates THS 9209. The search is on tonight for possible.
That is very concerning, right? Especially 2 over not many hours time period. Very concerning. Hey, Beth B, how are you? Good to see you. Hope you're having a good day, my friend. Let's see what it says. They said, according to the Dallas and Richardson police, there are no indication the cases involve the same men or are related. The first reported incident happened in Richardson. That's just a weird day or coincidence, or I don't know. I'm just trying to see if we have anything else here. There's that little girl right there. Freaked out, the as yet unknown girl made a dash for a property near the road and found a hiding place. Geez, she's lucky she was able to get away. They said police in Texas are hunting for would-be kidnappers following 2 incidents involving strange men following or approaching young children in daylight. Yeah, that is... Look at that. A child hiding behind a vehicle. Or trying to hide behind a vehicle. They're saying, according to Dallas-Fort Worth NBC, they said she initially hid behind our car to see if he was coming back, and sure enough, he came back really slow, and again, she was really smart. She did all the right things. When I opened the door, she started explaining that someone had been following her. She was really shaky. He continued. She didn't say, I don't think he was saying anything. She said, he keeps going by real slow, back and forth on the street, staring at me. I'm not comfortable. That is a good way of describing it, young lady. It says here, Burke's wife gave the young girl a ride to school while he contacted police who responded to the scene. He added, I don't know what's with this guy's motive was or what he was up to. But she said she didn't know him. He wasn't an ex-boyfriend or a family member or anything. So whatever, this is serious. It was a close call. Fortunately, she did all the right things. The suspect's vehicle is a black or blue 2014 to 2016 4-door Toyota Corolla S, according to the RPD. The only physical description police has is the man was bald, between 20 and 30 years old, dark-skinned, possibly Latino. They said hours after the incident in Richardson, police in Dallas responded to an attempted abduction in the far north of the city. And it says that was the boys that you could see on the camera. They said home surveillance footage captured 2 vehicles pulling up alongside the boys, which include a white SUV, described by the cops as a Toyota 4Runner. According to the youths, the men inside the car were telling them to come check out our car, spooking one of them who suggested the group all run. Smart kid. In the horrifying clip, a man can be seen leaving the vehicle and making a run at her son Jay, who quickly runs back to his house before the man runs back to his car. wow, I don't even know what to say except for what is going on in Texas in the last 24 hours. You wouldn't think they are coordinated or anything, right? I wouldn't think so, but thanks, Share Bear. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Shock says, I'm thankful my boys are now grown. Right, that is true, especially in today's day and age. Hey, at least we've got cameras now. You can capture this sort of thing. Back in the day, it was just like hearsay. No one actually fully, knew unless there was a CCTV camera that could back it up or show people. Thanks, Brenda. I appreciate it. Thanks for the birthday wishes. By the way, in the paper down here, there's been a story about Mr. Cruel. They were saying new theory, suspects unearthed in Mr. Cruel cold case. Now, I read through this, and the guy has a theory on who it might be. But according to some of the people who've worked on the Mr. Cruel case directly, they just don't think it's viable. They just think people are trying to smash, square pegs into round holes. Then, they're trying to find anything that might fit, even if it doesn't quite fit, and being like, hey, we found the solution. But it says here, a Grovedale truck driver called Trev Gross, who is part of a large community of amateur online detectives dedicated to solving the decades-old mystery, said he believed investigators could be dealing with at least two monsters and urged police to investigate a link between two convicted PDF files, both involved at a former youth group. However, a respected criminal psychologist with intimate knowledge of the frightening series of child R words has questioned the victimology between the offenders, saying to be abusing young boys by day and then abducting young girls at night doesn't quite fit, but it's not impossible. Yeah, I would suggest that Mr. Cruel only attacked girls. He never ever went after boys, and he was just always young girls, always young ladies. Some of them younger than others. Some of them like under 13, under 10, sort of that 10 to 13 range. Mostly quite young, but no boys that we've ever heard of or known of. So that would really go against the currently known victimology. Says here, Mr. Gross says he has provided a dossier to police naming Barry Francis Watson as a person of interest who lived in Park Orchards in the city's northeast and within a short drive to all four sickening crimes widely attributed to Mr. Cruel. He was a leader of a Church of England Boys Society group affiliated with the Anglican Church and would later be convicted for the horrific abuse of multiple children aged between 9 and 13. Apparently, he was active for a 20-year period in the 1970s. He took his own life in 2019, days before he was scheduled to appear in court, facing new historic child, SA charges. The second, who the Addy has chosen not to name for legal reasons, is a heinous predator who is in prison. Mr. Cruel's offending began in August 1987 when an 11-year-old girl was horrifically abused at her Lower Plenty home as her parents and brother lay tied up in the adjacent bedrooms. He would go on to abduct 3 more girls aged between 10 and 13 from their homes in Ringwood, Canterbury, and Templestowe, killing his last known victim, Carmen Chen. The 13-year-old was found a year later at Edgar's Creek in Thomastown with 3 gunshot wounds to the head. The alleged Park Orchard suspect lived within 16-kilometer radius of all 4 crimes and abused several other school-aged children, including at least 1 female in the area. No, I don't believe that for a second. I think Mr. Cruel I think he's female focused, female centric. I don't think he's interested in boys at all. I think if that was the case, we would have seen it. I think we would have seen during the period that, you know, his most highlighted cases were done, we would have seen some sort of attacks on young boys as well, and there just isn't. And I just don't, yeah. There would have been a similar case with a young boy that had a similar MO, you know, abducting them for a period of time, returning them methodically clothed or dressed in a different way to avoid DNA or forensic detail. And I think we would have had something like that pop up where we could be like, look, they're very similar. Maybe not the same. One is a boy, one is a girl. But at least we can say, hey, he sort of jumped between the different sexes. But I just, something tells me that they've got the wrong person. Interesting theory, and these people are probably deserve to be in prison or gone anyway. But no, they also said, like, you know, these a lot of their other crimes that they did were well known. They were in the newspaper and stuff. I think if anything popped up that had anything similar to Mr. Cruel, they would have been all over it. They would have been all over it, and they would have known that, hey, we could probably trace this back to this particular offender. They're, you know, it's very similar. Hey, he sort of used some of the same methods, or while they can change their methods and things like that, there's still hallmarks that they use every time. And I don't know, it just doesn't sound right. They're saying here, the alleged Park Orchard suspect lived within a 16-kilometer radius of all 4 crimes. He would lure his victims to his home under the guise of being a teacher-like figure, also committing sickening attacks at nearby sports reserves. Yeah, see, that's not even close to what Mr. Cruel did. Mr. Cruel never lured. He just abducted. He just broke in and took what he wanted. He didn't try and get kids to come with him. He just went, "You're coming with me," and picked them up and literally walk them out of the house. So, sounds a bit odd. Says here, his position as a youth leader aligns with some long-held theories Mr. Cruel was a teacher or someone who had access to school children. Well, yeah. All of the attacks happened in or around the school holidays. An FBI profile of the likely offender issued in 1991 stated, "The offender has an intense interest in children." Well, duh. Especially children in the age group he is assaulting. He will spend a great deal of time with these children in what appears to be a selfless dedication to students. Yeah, but that could be anything. That could be anything. There's like 500 million different ways that these people get access to children. It could be even like a partner is a teacher, so they're always at the workplace, or you know, it could be a sporting group or something like that. But I don't know. Something tells me that when you walk that far away from what is known, and what is known is that he attacked no, he did attack exclusively females, young females, then I find it hard to be like, I can put validity into this theory. They said, however, criminal psychologist Tim Watson Munro, who assisted detectives during the Mr. Cruel investigation, said there were clear differences in the sex of his known victims and that of Watson. Yep. They said, yes, this guy was an active offender at the same time and lived in the vicinity of the crimes. He probably doesn't fit the profile, in my opinion. Mr. Cruel was meticulous in his detail and his motivation never to be caught. Telling one alleged victim, "My liberty is more important than your life." The former criminal investigator Mike King, hey, Mike King, we know Mike King, who has tracked Mr. Cruel case using geographical mapping, has always believed the offender lived close by to all the crimes. They said the fact that it's all in about a 20-minute drive from each other in that area, the offender has to feel comfortable in order to function. Yeah, I think everyone agreed that he lives somewhere around the area. They're just not sure where, because the way Melbourne is structured, it could be 20 different suburbs because everything is around the bay here, and the city is basically right at the top of the bay. and then all the suburbs fan out from there. So it could be literally anywhere. 20 minutes gets you a lot of different places in Melbourne. Here, I'll show you. Let me see if I can find an image for you. All right. So Melbourne is at the top of the bay here. Most of the attacks from Mr. Cruel happen over here where it says Burwood around this area, sort of over here. But 20 minutes will get you all different places around here because everything is centralized around the city here. And the city's right here, everything fans out in a fan shape around the bay. So the whole 20 minutes thing doesn't really pique my interest that much because you can get to so many places around here in about 20 minutes. You could be in Dandenong or okay, maybe not Dandenong, but you could be sort of anywhere, Doncaster, Croydon, Preston, even Melbourne City maybe, Burwood, I don't know, Clayton, Oakley, all different suburbs around here. So, yeah. Rachel says that looks like very dense population. It's not that bad. Not like some different cities. Your computer might be sick. All right, let me see what else it says here. But look, I appreciate that someone is trying to work on it. I think anyone who wants to devote some time to trying to crack the case is, appreciate their efforts. I really do. But this one doesn't sound right. I've heard better theories from other people. This one just doesn't. The fact that this other person attacked mostly boys doesn't jive. It just doesn't seem right. And the fact he only has one girl victim, where this other offender has possibly several female victims, for which we know, but possibly many more that he never abducted. He just broke in and assaulted, but never actually abducted them, which they call the early attacks, but not much is known. Police have never released much detail about the early crimes that Mr. Cruel did. For what reason? I don't know. Probably to see if they can catch him at some point with the information that they know. All right, where's my article? I lost my article. I don't know how I did that. There's the map. Somehow we lost our page. Apparently we're just not allowed to go back to the article. Here. So they're saying here, yeah, the investigation into a number of incidents believed to be possibly linked to Mr. Cruel remains active and ongoing, according to Victoria Police. This includes the abduction and essay of 3 girls between 1987 and 1990, as well as the 1991 murder of Carmen Chan. Any new information provided to police about these matters will be assessed and thoroughly investigated. Detectives said significant forensics have already been undertaken on exhibits over the years, and further testing would be prioritized when new technology allowed. Authorities have invested an estimated $4 million in an effort to catch the masked sadist, with the Specialist Spectrum Task Force created at the height of the investigation. More than 27,000 suspects have been interviewed, and close to 30,000 homes have been searched in the hunt for Mr. Cruel. Yeah, they actually went on this giant manhunt across the city one of the things they wanted to find were homes that matched the description given by the girls. So there are some sketches that the girls helped create of their surroundings when they were in captivity. The other thing is that they could hear, one of the girls said she could hear planes landing while she was in the property. And there's only some places in Melbourne where that might be likely. Let me see if I can find those. I think I've shown them to you before, but so here's one of the sketches or diagrams that they had. So this is what the bedroom where the girls were held looked like. So they said they had a black, gray, or brown blanket covering a unit or a tall boy here, and a beige cream colored carpet, double bed with peach colored bedhead, bedside unit or table, yellow white striped shade on the corner on this one here, orange peach colored lamp base, and then a peach colored full length curtain covering this window or doors here. Probably a window, maybe. And then there's the bed. So he covered up a lot of the bedroom for some reason. Maybe to stop identification, something like that. Hey, retired RN, how are you? Ah, good. I'm glad you did. Yeah, it just sounds like maybe there's these other offenders are just nasty people as well, bad people operating at a similar time in history. All right. Were you able? There's a new one out. Were you able to watch the new one called The Hunters? Interesting. I don't know how much I care for their theory either, but interesting nonetheless. Interesting. Okay, let's see what else we have. You know, I don't have an update on the woman in Canada, the woman who went missing. No update today on it. Nothing. The lady that her English name is Anita, but there's been no update today. Let me see. No, I don't see any update into her. The last update was over 24 hours ago. Over. And then there's only the video we watched yesterday from City News. Let me check City News again. No, nothing new. Nothing new today, unfortunately. So that means she's still missing. She's still missing out there, unfortunately. Horrible. Yeah, no big update for her, which is a shame. Thank you, I appreciate it. It's okay, you can be late. All right, let me see what else I have. They're not that. Oh, by the way, if you're in the East Coast, you have to be careful. A hurricane called Ernesto is gonna strike maybe, but it says flooding likely across Puerto Rico right now. So that's where it's gonna go first. Here's a map for it, by the way. So it's gonna miss all of Florida, and it's sort of gonna take a really hard right turn. So it's gonna go through here, it's gonna come up through Puerto Rico, and then it's gonna take a really hard right turn instead of coming through the Gulf or, hitting Florida. It's sort of gonna go all the way up here through the Atlantic. It's a bit of an odd track. So if you're on the East Coast from even the Canadian border all the way down to the Carolinas and Florida, you may get some funky weather for about a week. You may get some odd weather, maybe storms and a lot of wind coming in from the coast, but I don't believe it's going to make landfall unless it gets to Nova Scotia or something up here. But it's probably not going to do anything by the time it gets up there. It'll die out because the water up here will get too cold to fuel it. Thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's very kind. Very kind. So yeah, if you're on the East Coast, watch out for Ernesto. Hurricane Ernesto. Okay. Do we have one more story? Thought we found a good one. Thought I had another cold case for you. Yeah, I do. It says here, UTA students 1985 cold case murder solved using genetic genealogy. Of course.
In Arlington.
And it says Terry McAdams, 22, was found beaten to death inside her fiance's apartment on Valentine's Day, 1985. Despite thousands of leads, no arrests have been made, and the case went cold. On Wednesday, Arlington Chief of Police Al Jones was joined by Detective Devin Coffer, an FBI Dallas special agent in charge of Chad Yarbrough, to announce a break in the 40-year-old case and identification of a suspect. It's a day the McAdams family thought would never come. After so many long years, we had to come to grips to accept that we would probably never know who murdered our sister. The 22-year-old had been beaten and R-worded. Her attacker managed to enter the ground floor apartment through a sliding door. At the time, detectives said McAdams' engagement ring was taken during the attack. Police alerted area pawn shops to the missing ring at the time. Her alleged killer also left behind a distinctive shoe print outside her home. McAdams' younger sister Karen says her family had to come to terms that police would never the person responsible. Okay, I think they mean never catch the person responsible for the brutal attack. And unfortunately, her parents have since passed away. They said, "We had given up hope. I honestly cannot believe we are standing here today." Hopper's sister, Pamela, stepmother, and husband walked into the Arlington Police Station Department to address members of the media Wednesday afternoon. They've written this story really poorly, so let me play the video for you.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I'm Al Jones. I'm the Chief of Police for the City of Arlington. I'm proud to stand here today with members of the Homicide Unit and our partners with the FBI as we finally get to provide answers that department wanted to provide for nearly 40 years. I think with any of us would tell you that, it would be great to solve crimes in real life like they do on TV. Where we get the big lead that we need or identify suspect at the end of an hour-long episode. But that's not reality. Sometimes it takes months, years, and even decades to crack a case. The key to remain steadfast and to begin, to open up new investigation methods and technology that can help us break the thing wide open. In February 1985, a young woman named Terry McAdams was brutally murdered at her apartment here in Arlington. Our detectives at the time conducted a very thorough investigation, and they were able to they weren't able to identify the killer. Resources and technology that were available in 1985 are obviously very different from where we are today. In the 39 years since, the department has revisited the case several times to see if there's any new advancements that could help us solve it. Today, I am proud to announce that that our efforts paid off. We got the big break we needed, and we have identified the killer. I'll tell you that the individual who committed the crime took his own life a few months after the murder case. No charges will be filed in this case.
You know, that's really interesting. That's like the 4th or 5th one I've had this year where a cold case has not been able to provide charges on the suspect because they have voluntarily left this world. It's not the first one. We've had at least 2 this week alone, and there's been at least 5 this year where they finally figured out who did it, and they either took themselves out years ago around the time of their offending, or recently when they realized police were probably going to get them.
But it's my hope that we're able to provide the family of Miss McAdams, who is here today with us, with closure, a sense of closure to this case. I'm going to turn turn things over to Detective Devon Coffer to talk more about the case and how we got here.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for being here with us today. My name is Detective Devin Coffer. First name spelled D-E-V-O-N, last name C-O-F-F-E-R. I am a homicide detective with the Arlington Police Department Homicide Unit. I was assigned this case in January of this year. After I was briefed about this case, I started looking at all the reports, documents, and evidence associated with this case. I then started to communicate with FBI Special Agent Seth Webb, assisting me with this case. I'll start by giving you a little background regarding this case. On Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1985, at approximately 2:40 p.m., Arlington Police Department officers responded to an apartment complex in the 2500 block of Walnut Hill Circle. A maintenance worker found a 22-year-old Terry McAdams deceased inside of the apartment. She had been severely beaten. The medical examiner's office ruled that her cause of death was blunt force trauma. There was also evidence she was sexually assaulted. The apartment she was found in belonged to her fiance. He was out of town at the time on a business trip and was ruled out at the time as a suspect early on. We learned Terry's killer entered the apartment through a sliding glass door connected to a bedroom. As Chief mentioned, the employees who worked this case in 1995 was very thorough and collected a lot of physical evidence that would later prove and be vital to where we at today. In 2021, we sent several of those items off for forensic lab DNA testing. And from that testing, we were able to develop a profile for an unknown suspect. The profile was entered into a database system called CODIS, but unfortunately, there was no hits and no matches in that database system. So that's when we began looking at other strategies that might be worth exploring. That's how we connected with the FBI investigating genealogy team in Dallas. We first met with them in August of last year, and they agreed to assist us with this case. And with their assistance, we were able to focus on one man named Bernard Sharp. I'll now turn it over to the FBI Special Agent in charge, Chad Yarbrough, to talk more about how genetic genealogy works.
I'm going to leave it there because we all know how genetic genealogy works, but I'm going to show you a photo of Bernard Sharp. Here's a photo of him. This looks like a very old arrest photo from, I can't even tell what the date on that photo says, but yeah, I can't even tell with the reflection. But there, Bernard Sharp is the person they accused of doing it. Yep, Othram strikes again. They're saying here, in 2023, Arlington police reached out. No, this was actually the FBI's investigative genetic genealogy team. They said through DNA evidence, we were able to identify Sharp as a possible suspect. Investigators tested an out-of-state family member and confirmed that Sharp was a genetic match for McAdams' killer. However, Sharp was never arrested. 9 months after McAdams' murder, police say Sharp killed his wife and her friend before he turned the gun on himself. Arlington police say McAdams' murder was a crime of opportunity. There were no connection between Sharp and McAdams. The McAdams family is grateful the department never gave up. As I stand here today, I know that she and my mom and dad are smiling down on this miraculous moment. There really are not enough words sufficient enough to describe how this feels. Yeah, unfortunately, her parents didn't live long enough to find out what happened to their daughter, and they passed away in the years after their daughter's murder. It's very sad. And yeah, just a real one of those crimes that we hear about in true crime, random crimes. Like we always go, my God, those are so rare. They don't happen that often. It can't be that. And this particular case shows you that they happen every now and then. You get cases where people are victimized at random. It's a crime of opportunity, but it's very random. They didn't know each other. They had no background. They, there was no previous relationship, nothing. Just some sort of crime of opportunity. And what is some horrific circumstances, it happened on Valentine's Day. Not very loving, I would say, on the day of love. Very awful. They said, yeah, she was 22 years old. She was found beaten to death and R-worded inside her Arlington apartment on Valentine's Day, 1985. There's her photo, Terry McAdams. So at least they got an ending. At least they were able to figure out what happened, give the family some answers, and while while they'll never be able to have justice in a court of law, they get this form of justice, I guess. They get the press conference and they get to tell everyone what happened and that type of thing. I think we're going to wrap up. I think that was it. I think we've got some more to do for the late show, and then yeah, we've probably got more to do for the late show in the afternoon. I want to thank my friend Peekaboo Cockatiel. That was very sweet of you to send in a donation for tonight's show. That is very, very kind of you. And I want to thank my friend JS the Cat for the super chat earlier. Happy 40th. Thank you. I appreciate it, both of you. You're both very kind. It's very sweet of you both. Yeah, I think we're almost done for today. Brought you 2 cold cases, an update on Mr. Cruel, a missing woman, young lady from New York, from Brooklyn, and the weird one of that burning body in New York. I'm going to keep an eye on that because that is very odd. I wish we had more information, but I don't think we have any more information about the shopping cart one either yet. It's just no update. Let's see if there's anything on that park one before we go. Doesn't seem so. Just that they're investigating her being at the park. They said it's a strange death that was not believed to be. They're now saying that it's not to believe to be a homicide. So that woman who was found after they got a report for a brush fire inside Manhattan's 33rd precinct, after the fire was extinguished, the first responders made the grim discovery. It's a woman, and there appears to be an accelerant used, according to FDNY. No arrests have been made as police continue to investigate. The police source said, "It's strange. This is not a homicide." So, seems like maybe either accidental or a deliberate act, unfortunately. That's very, very sad to hear. Very sad. Thanks, Natasha. I appreciate it. Yeah, have a good night in your little corner of the world, okay? All right, I will see you for the late show in about an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, something like that. And then, yeah, have fun with Trish, and we'll be back then, okay? Bye. Bye-bye. Peace out. See you later. Okay. Yeah, I think we read that a while ago. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for all the birthday wishes. I appreciate it. See you in a little while. Bye.